Hey everybody, welcome back to another Judgment commentary of Nisemonogatari. This time I'm going to be checking out episode 9, and last time on episode 8, Araragi brushed his sister's teeth. That's what happened. Nothing else, no further context needed. That's all that occurred, let's move on. But seriously though, last episode was obviously a very standout and notorious episode for the entire Monogatari series for obvious reasons, but I decided to ask you guys to do some homework. I wanted to know what you guys thought could be the narrative or thematic purpose behind that scene. And well, many of you responded, and I'm going to be going over what some of you guys said right now just to get an idea here. For starters, we've got one indicating that it's supposed to show that Araragi is being hypocritical, that despite everything he was saying, he was about to do some very uncouth things to his sister. Which, yeah, fair. But they also say that the author of the series wanted to just blow off some steam after creating Bake and Kizu, and if that's the case, then that's not much of a artistic purpose, that's just him, you know, screwing around, which is reasonable enough, I guess. I guess especially after Kizu, where the tone was, you know, a lot more serious, that maybe he just wanted to relax a bit and have a scene as off the wall as this. Fine. Next up, we got one from the individual who told me earlier about the whole neoplasticism element in episode 2. They were saying that this is an example of a pastiche being a parody, a send-up of sorts. And that this scene was just supposed to be a hyperbolic critique of anime cliches of the time, and that it was just supposed to, like I already said, hyperbolically indicate Araragi and Karen's intimacy with one another. But of course, as he goes on to say, that the scene itself isn't just a pastiche, it's also a part of what it's criticizing, so it's like a weird sort of thing where it's kind of criticizing it but also partaking in it at the same time. So complicated. But to top it all off, I'm going to go over the comment that I agree the most with and resonated the most with my experience with the scene, in that they were saying here that yes, it does have narrative value, but at the same time, it goes too far. Way too far, and that no matter what narrative purpose the scene was supposed to hold, it could have been accomplished the same way had they just toned it down a bit. Which is true. Realistically, if they needed to convey discomfort between them, if they needed to convey that they were still close, then there were other ways to do that without going so completely over the top. I do agree with the rest of their sentiment, though, that Monogatari definitely strays on the right side when it comes to using fan servicey things to convey narrative depth. They've done a good job of it so far. Some of them, which seemed a little bit much at the time, made a lot more sense in deeper context, but with this one, it probably does just take it a few levels way too much when it comes to what they needed to do. So I think, in summarization, the main takeaway is this. It was meant to convey a bit of hypocrisy from Araragi, while also hyperbolically indicating that he and Karen were still growing closer, despite, you know, the discomfort they felt and that they might have been growing apart. But they also decided just to screw around a bit and blow it way out of proportion, further than what it needed to be, just for the sake of letting off some steam. So thank you very much for all the comments, everybody. It did help shed some light on the subject, and it was very intriguing to read a lot of them about the more artistic side of what might have been the intention behind the scene, but I've rambled on about them way too long at this point. I could keep going in a much more deeper analysis with what you guys were saying, but for now, I think I'll just leave it there. Last episode was very bizarre. Everyone knows that. But now, let's head into episode 9. Okay. Where do I begin with this one? So, we got 2 new characters introduced. both of which were familiar with one another, apparently, and they both wanted directions to the old abandoned cram school where Oshino previously had his base of operations set up, and one of them also wants to set up a base of operations. Strange. And she was described as powerful, and apparently even the other one is also quite powerful too. And they do have a propensity for the supernatural, as they can see into what animals they've represented in the past, such as Mayoi with the snail, and, well, Karen, they said hornet, but hornet bee. It was more of a hornet than a bee, so it makes more sense to say hornet, technically, so that's fair. But now they're calling Araragi devil. Devil, as probably, like he said, related to the vampires, because his thing that he got mixed up in was a vampire, and vampires are, demonic in nature. They're typically associated with the devil, so maybe that's just what they're referring to, or maybe there's something even darker down there for Araragi, and that we might have that Araragi devil arc. Who knows? Probably not, I'm just kidding around, but yeah, so that's curious. Great, more mysterious figures who are being really ominous popping in here. I'm not sure what the scope of their intent is, what they're trying to do or accomplish, and the fact that they both showed up in front of Araragi and asked him specifically for directions is odd. And going back, I said earlier, I asked if they were drawing Karen taller than she used to be, and they absolutely are, by the way. They totally are. I'm guessing, I mean, the obvious thing you can draw from that is that Araragi isn't seeing her as young anymore. He's seeing her as older because he, views her that way. He probably thinks she's a bit more mature now than she was before, so he's beginning to see her as being more mature. That's pretty much the obvious draw from that one. And may I say, Araragi had some particularly wandering eyes today. I mean, wow, from his perspective, he was perving out quite a bit. More so than usual. I mean, the fact that we got that squat camera angle from Karen twice, it's pretty clear that that was also, where Araragi's eyes were centered. He's gotta stop looking at his sister like that. That's weird, man. And of course, there was all the stuff he was saying with Mayoi. I'm guessing he was just playing along with what she was saying before, I suppose, but we gotta thank MVP Shinobu for grabbing him by the ankles so he'd trip and fall. I gotta respect that, thank you very much. But now, there are only 2 episodes left of Nisemonogatari, and this one is known as the Tsukihi Phoenix arc, and Tsukihi has barely been in it. She popped in for a second in the first episode of it just to be mad at Araragi and Karen for, fiddling about the way they were. And then they narrowly avoided getting skewered with the awls of death. And this time she wasn't here, period. Just mentioned. But I'm sure she'll get something going on these next 2 episodes. Probably, I hope so, but we'll see. There's only 2 left, and they've just now introduced these 2 new hyper mysterious characters who can see into the supernatural. So as far as this episode goes, it was kind of a weird one, but it had some funny parts, and it did set up some new plot stuff involving these 2 new characters, and I want to know more about them. They're very, very intriguing. So for now, guess that's it, guys, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to be updated on more. Let me know what you thought of the episode as well. Help me try to make sense of some of that. If you would, that'd be great. So for now, that's it. Hope to catch you guys next time, but till then, I will see you guys later.